The red in polarities. Basically, it is a very powerful color. Oh, you're welcome, King King Poon. It's great that you received it. I hope you can use it. Great to hear. I hope you can also use some information about the red today. The red polarity is about growth and destruction. It is a very active color. It is a color of leadership, of perseverance, and it has a very strong dynamic. It is also very passionate. It has a big load of gratitude in it. It's very conscious, and it loves to multiply things. That's why it stands for growth, obviously. It is also bringing some energy of resurrection, again, always the new life, and it brings some cheerfulness, some energy into our lives. Pioneers, are also mostly under the effect of the red colors because they stand in front. They just go for it. In the negative polarities, when you are living maybe the negative side of this color, you might be under its influence, and then you're working with your fears. Then you can work with your control issues, that the ego is always very afraid to let go of the control, of course. Its power is over, so it is also connected to the red, and it can be very dominant, which is not a bad thing until it can let things flow. And it means a good leader takes care of all the others. But it has, on the negative polarity, and the very edge of it has a danger of becoming a tyrant. So it can be a negative polarity is very aggressive, it can be impatient, there can be some frustration, it can be even cruel. Some shades of red symbolize it, mostly the ones that are mixed with black, that very deep dark red, that can be sometimes cruel. It can be stubborn, it can be even threatening. It can also be connected to losing control, and then we just use all our powers because we're fighting for that power, for that control so much. And it can mean a lot of guilt and shame in our lives that very often we carry with us, sometimes unconscious, but if it gets conscious, it's great because then we can work with it. Alright, so I've mentioned that it's very active. Red moves a lot. So when we move a lot, when we are always active, that's most probably we are under the influence of red. It's symbolizing the physical life. Obviously, it is also in the 7 chakra system, it is the color of the root chakra. And interestingly, yeah, every color has a vibration, it has a frequency. And therefore, of course, it is also bringing with itself the colors of the chakras and what those chakras represent in our lives. So the root chakra is also working with our physical security, feeling of safety, and the other side of it are fears, if they are appearing in our lives. It's also, of course, like the root chakra, connected to our instincts. Instincts are a good thing, right? It helps us to connect with this very deep-rooted intuition. I wouldn't call it intuition, it's more raw than that. It's just really some basic connection with nature that we bring from our animal past through evolution. But it can be handy. So if you can combine it with our understanding, it comes in very useful sometimes. And it is also connected to our roots, obviously. Can be our past, can be our roots, where we are from, can be cultural background. It can be a lot of things that we can use it is also the energy of willingness to live. Not surprisingly, it's also the color of blood. That's it. It means the life energy in our bodies that's circling around. It needs to move always around. Therefore, it is also bringing many times adrenaline, and it's also connected to our willpower. It speeds up things. It activates things. Therefore, it has a great momentum. It gives a zest to life. It likes to be a red, likes to be the first, of course. It doesn't mind the red carpet. It doesn't mind to step up and act, step up and speak in front of people. It's just great feeling. It's a natural leader. It can be that you have a period in your life when you enjoy those kind of things, when you enjoy or you just have the task to step up in front of people and just bring it in, right? So then you can recognize this red effect in your life. It also gives us courage. Courage is, it doesn't mean we don't have fears. Courage means that we are aware of our fears, but we are doing our plans anyway, that we are just bringing it forward, and red is exactly the energy that can push us through those blockages, right? It's really a great perseverer, if I may say so. It is also very practical. It gives solutions to things, and it acts with 2 feet on the ground. So yeah, again we come back to the root chakra. Yeah, that's how we act. That's how we basically take care of our physical being, our physical needs, and that's always motivating, this energy. It can be very stimulating, it can be inspiring, invigorating, and red is obviously a very warm color, so it also gives us warmth. It's generally drawn to substance, to keep up our existence, and that's why it's also linked to reproduction, which means also sexuality, but it means also love. So it's basically just wants to reproduce, it wants to multiply, it wants to stay alive. So that's that genuine pull power of the red. It's also that kind of energy that kicks you in the ass when you're kind of stopped and you're drawn into your fears, and then you don't dare to take the next step. Then red is the energy that pushes you through it, right? When you decide, I'm just gonna do it, whatever happens. That's red. It's also very revolutionary, and it can be the savior. For example, the last military group that saves a battle, that's also a red energy. And of course we can see the red. When we think about red, we think about fire. It is a very fiery color, and fire has this quality of purification. When we think about, for example, the month of August, August is, at least in Europe, the hottest month, and it has a very burning summer, a very burning heat, and that heat can be very nurturing for the environment if there is, for example, enough water containing it. But if it's just too much sun, too much heat, then it will just burn the crops, it will destroy them, right? So we have to, it's not for nothing that our parents say don't play with fire. Yeah, we burn ourselves, and that's why fire can be also destructive. Red has this fire quality. It also represents the bare truth. So sometimes honesty can be very up in the face, right? And sometimes it's difficult to handle it, but it's very useful, and it can bring us forward if we are willing to work with it. I'm very grateful for those truth moments in my life, even though they were one of the toughest, if I remember. But that's exactly what the red can mean us in our lives. The red energy also knows its value. It is more raw than self-trust. It is a self-trust that knows exactly why I'm standing where I'm standing and what have I done to achieve this, what energy I've put in, all the work that I've put into myself or to this precise thing in my life. So it knows precisely why it is worth it and what it is worth. And it always wants to go to the next step. And that's a very subtle topic, it may be. But for example, when dying people need the energy to gather their courage and step through, it can be very soothing for them to look at red flowers or something red. Flowers are great because they are the beauty of nature, right? So they are immediately connected to nature. And of course, that needs a lot of courage. They also need to take this decision to step through and close this existence down. But for the red energy, it actually doesn't matter if it's life or death, because it just sees it as a gate of changing forms, of changing existence. And it's just a continuation of something external. So from the point of view of of this red energy, it doesn't really matter. We continue our roots, only in a different form. And it has, as I mentioned, the life power, and therefore it can be very detoxicating. Because if you have noticed, then if you start to be active and start to do things and speed up yourself, even physically or just mentally, think about things, work with things, then our metabolism is also speeding up. So it has a double backsplash effect, which is really beneficial when we want to detoxicate our bodies, for example. And in manifestation, promise, in manifestation, it brings the material presence of the things that we want to do, or all our activity that we do for that purpose that we dream about. So the small steps that we take to reach that dream and to get closer to it every day. It may be an internal dream to achieve a quality that we want to reach in ourselves, or a state of being that we would like to live in, or it can be something external, which is really some physical manifestation of a thing that we want to have or create or connect with in our lives. This painting behind me is the manifestation energy for me. The title that I gave it was Birth of a Dream. And it really just clashes the two basic energies together. The energy of the blue, the energy of the red, and blue representing more the spiritual birth of a thought, and that is just receiving of an idea, which we receive very often through our throat chakra. And that is a certain blue color, is more that kind of blue which I'm wearing right now. And that is not only for communication, but also for the expressing and also for receiving of our ideas. Alright. May I adjust the mic a little bit more? I hope it's good. Otherwise, please let me know, guys. Alright. And what is the red? The red is more really that physical reality that we talked about just now. And that when that is the point when our idea really gets a physical form. That's why this cell with a baby inside it, but it can be any baby. It's just an embryo, it's just a seed that can be anything. In this painting it has already a form, but it could be any seed. It just could be a seed of a flower or seed of a tree. And I made it on purpose very see-through, because there are not really real barriers or real boundaries in this life. Of course we can feel physical things around us, like this chair, that I can touch this microphone, but it's everything goes back down to atoms, and an atom is at the end electron clouds, so it's very difficult to touch it, to really say, is it now an energy cloud, or is it then that dance that it has a physical form? So that's what this bubble or sort of cell is symbolizing. It doesn't really have an edge. It looks like it has, because it's a bit shiny, but if we turn it, the light reflection changes on it. And the same on that red surface, there are also shiny surfaces on it. I love to play with a matte and a shiny, because it just gives this dynamic to the painting. So the purple color on the bottom, that is more the link, more the spiritual understanding, that is protecting this stream, and that is connecting the material with the spiritual, and colliding the two. So that's when things can get a physical form. It's funny, if I look at it, it also looks like an eyeball from the side. I haven't noticed that so far, but yeah, it can be also another way for us to see this world. Of course, it has many facets. So I'm really curious what you think about it, guys, and if you want, you can just draw with me, or just take a piece of paper and think about it a little bit, what this red color means to you. Alright, so I hope you could grab some paper and pen at least, and do something intuitive, do something creative that feels good for you. I'm gonna make this paper wet, because I feel like working with aquarelle is easier when the background is somewhat wet and the colors are flowing on it better. I will add both sides. I don't promise I will work with red colors, but I will certainly work with that energy and what that energy means for me. That active, connecting sky and earth, let's say, connecting the spiritual and the physical. So for me, it's always more the question, how do we bring things alive, really? So for a change, I will start with some blue. blue is always water. It's kind of our emotions too. They also have a water nature. And that's how we are connected so deeply to the moon. Just think about it when the moon has low tides and high tides. How much it affects the water, or not the moon has, but the moon affects the low. It starts up and initiates high tides and low tides just by the magnetic power it has on water. And if you think about it, we are 70% water. So it definitely, it's only physics, right, that it has an effect on us. It has an effect on our emotions. Some people can't sleep with full moon. That's when the high tides and low tides are the strongest. And that's when we also can feel it the strongest. Okay. So I'm not going for pretty. This is an art therapy painting, right? This is an inner picture. So we just go with our feelings and see what that brings to us. What kind of form or shape it takes. We just flow with it. In my head, I had something completely different, but that's how it goes with art and creativity. It's just always something completely different than we expect. Mixing colors, it always works with our emotions too. Sometimes it shows us how much we dare to enter into the depth of one or the other. If we can see both things at the same time, the positive and the negative, it requires some wisdom from us, for sure. Mixing colors is also very unsecure. Oh yeah, that red can also, by the way, influence us through our insecurities. If we let it. And sometimes we let it for a while, and after we say it was enough, and we just go with it. It's kind of interesting to see how different energy my left hand has in this. By nature right-handed, but it is also interesting to see when playing the piano. The left hand is very well decided. So that's more connected to my right hemisphere. It's funny to observe how different they are. And the right is very emotional if I take some lead on this painting because it flows away. The left hand, my right hemisphere, knows exactly where to go. What to do is precise. Now my right hand kind of learned from it and she can do it now too. It's funny how they communicate. The red color also represents the fruit of our actions. And when a fruit is ripe, it's not always, but very often it's red. And of course, the several tints of the red have all different meanings, and more subtle meanings that come from the base meaning of the color. When it is mixed with white, so they are the light colors, or maybe brown, like this pale rosa, it is mostly the positive aspects of the color. And when it is mixed with dark brown, the red with dark brown without the white, or we take the dark red, then it might be tending to the negative side. But there are also very vivid red colors, for example the crimson red, which is this one, which absolutely represents that high energy of the red. So there can be a difference in what shade we take, what we feel connected with. I'm embracing mixing colors now and making some rivers between the trees. Have you noticed that rivers, if you see them from above, have the same shape or almost the same shape as trees, the branches of trees have? And I was thinking, why is that? Because they all are thrown and directed by the power of water. So water is so powerful yet so flexible. It can take any form it flows to. So that's how also our emotions work if we get to know them. I'm really mesmerized by the power of water in this earth, in nature. Without water, there's no life. I'm afraid of the green now, but let's see. I just try a darker shade. I kind of was afraid that it would look banal, so too simple, too childish with the green. It kind of does, but it also makes it a bit vivid. It makes it somehow living. I remember as a child, if I was drawing something, I always needed to put some green into it. Kinda, it needed the love. Green is the color of the heart chakra, so it's kinda, I was just needing some more love into every drawing I made. Of course, I didn't know it back then, but it's cool how our intuition can lead us sometimes. Hi Doranoras. I'm making an art therapy painting based about the vibration of the color red. And I know it doesn't look red, but it has a small center that's red, and that's kind of a feeling what comes out of this red energy, this very active, very invigorating energy of the red. I'm curious to know if you have some experience with the red, and if yes, what is it? Do you like red? Do you have it a lot around you? Oh, great that you heard of it. Yeah, I love art therapy. It's just sort of free painting without any barriers. And just let our hand lead us in the process. If you feel like, you can try it with me. If you have, of course, paint around you. I'm still going a little bit further with this painting, just until the feeling when I feel okay, it's done now. So, but anyhow, I also don't know myself what it's gonna be. So that's the interesting part in art therapy. It's always a surprise what comes out of it, and we have to go with it, right? So I hope you would like to try it. Next time if you come, we can do a short meditation and then go into the topic. It would be great. It helps to channel. Okay, yeah, that sounds great. And if you have any questions, then let me know. I also have some color cards with me today. I will need to translate it because it's in Dutch, but if you'd like to have a color for today, I could pull a card for you and see what it means. So let me know. I leave it here, and if you say yes, then I just choose something for you. If you feel like, then pop a question in you, what you're busy with right now, what you need guidance for at the moment, and it may give an answer to you or just a direction. Okay. I'm kind of missing a purple vibe on this painting. It's a very magenta kind of purple, a warm one, with a lot of red in it. It looks like a heartbeat. Oh, sorry, I missed your question. Normally, yes, I'm an art therapist, and I do yoga recently a lot because I feel it helps me in my everyday life, also on a physical level. I have been painting for 11 years now, and I've been very lucky at the beginning, got some spotlight right on. And I've been just painting ever since because I feel I can stop painting. It's just beautiful. I love the creation, I love the flow of it, and I feel so alive when I'm painting. I love to be connected with people, so that's why I became an art therapist, because this is a beautiful way of connecting. Yeah, like Bob Ross, indeed. He's great. I love him. Did you try any Bob Ross paintings? He has great tutorials. It's magical how he works with colors and landscapes. Oh yeah. But it's an interesting fun fact about him. I don't know if you knew that he also started up as a portrait artist. He's a very skilled, artist, of course. But he was always drawn to landscapes. So once one of his friends told him, "Hey, but it's great what you do, but that's not where your soul is. So don't you do just landscape? You have to do landscapes. That's what you can fly with. And then he started his series very early on. I think that was one of the first of painting tutorials. It didn't really exist before. Yeah, that's great. Improvisation is the best, right? It gives all the freedom of painting. And also mixing colors, I find it very challenging still. So it's kind of free using colors from the tube, but mixing colors is something that, yeah, it's challenging but also very exciting. I love to mix them on the canvas also when I'm painting these kind of things. But with aquarelle it's very easy, of course, and that's the point of mixing up everything. That's like mixing up emotions and stepping through boundaries. Yeah. And we all have our own color palette, right? So even if we have the same colors in front of us, what we paint out of it, it will look completely different. And that's the great thing in art therapy, because it gives just a picture of our soul. And it's so cool that we can just make it visible, right, by creation. And I'm not talking about if it's pretty or not, because it doesn't matter, but you will have a reflection of yourself when you look at your painting. I will try to decipher this painting when I'm done with it. I'm also curious what it tells to you. So once again, we started with the energy of the red and the physical sphere, root chakra. I don't know which system does speak to you more. Right. I need kind of a bit more contrast. It's great if you're curious. Curiosity is a great energy. It's a high vibe. It means you're open to things. I find it so exciting to mix up colors and mix them up on the canvas, or in this case on the paper, because you just never know what's gonna come out of it. And this way we are not in control of the creation process, but we let the painting create itself. I'm just playing around and it does great things, doesn't it? I just assist the universe in creating with my hand. And that's what I love about art. It's so inspirational. When I go to a museum, I tend to spend hours there just staring on one or another painting or sculpture, just watching the forms. And I find it brilliant, and the best things come out, I find, unintended. Although intention has also great power. I noticed while manifestation, because that's the name of the channel, right? I wanted to create some series about the mysteries of manifestation. So I noticed when I set an intention, it will somehow draw me towards that direction, but I completely have to let it go. So usually I set an intention, I totally forget about it, and then days or hours later I just end up somewhere and I noticed, oh yeah, that was a decision I made and I'm here and I have no idea how. So intention has a great power, and that refers also to manifestation, because of course we are dreaming of things that we want to achieve, that we gladly have in our lives. We are searching for solutions, sometimes searching for inspiration. I can I'll maybe tell about my experience with this red energy and how it happened with my setting of intention in my life. It was a pretty big impact change actually that it caused. So I was thinking, I just had fragments of what I wanted. I wanted many different things at the same time, so I had no idea how it would all come together. I knew that I wanted to travel, that was for sure. And I also I was drawn to Mexico because of its culture, and somehow the folk patterns that they have on their shirts and those flower patterns were very similar to one certain Hungarian folk pattern that we use. I'm Hungarian by origin, so I was just kind of looking for this connection. Why it is so similar, and those countries are so distant and apparently have nothing to do with each other, and still. So that was the drive that I wanted to discover, but it's not something I could find in a museum because museums don't work on that level. So the thing is, I made an art therapy session. I gave an art therapy session where I was, for the colleagues I was working, and a colleague had a friend who worked in Mexico. And she said, yeah, hey, do you want to come to Mexico? When we talked about it, I said, yes, of course. And a few months later, I received a contract from, first we talked, of course, and I received a contract from a company which was apparently accidentally the sister company of where I was working. So they still had some connections. So I ended up in Mexico within a half year even. And I also wanted to live next to the sea. And in Mexico I didn't manage that, but I said, no worries, I will just go anyway, and let's see how I get to be close to the sea. I love this energy, it's really purifying, very powerful, I find, to be connected with water, even flowing water. I noticed that the cities with flowing water always have a very clear energy because the water purifies the place energetically. So it's not only commercial that the big cities had rivers in the middle, for of course commercial reasons or trade in old times, but also energetically it does really good to a place if it has a flowing water energy in it. Or for example the sea, it's vast water surface. And it helps us also to let go of many things if we are connecting with it. So yeah, but suddenly I arrived to Mexico, and it turned out that my contract, what I had, was not valid anymore, and it didn't receive a work permit because the headquarters changed of the company and the department completely got reorganized. So I was struggling to start working without a permit, and that position that they wanted to give to me just didn't exist anymore. The new leadership had other thoughts about it. So I stationed like 3 months in Mexico, and I had great help during those 3 months. Then I said, yeah, guys, I can't wait any longer. I just go. And I was sending applications all around the world. I had no idea. I had a suitcase that was all of it. It was really easy to go anywhere, really. So I just applied to anything I liked, and I ended up in Greece next to the sea, which is great. So yeah, where I fell in love, and that's how I am in the Netherlands right now. So that's how oh yeah, one of the original purpose also was that I wanted to find my soulmate, which I after all did find in Greece. So intentions are really powerful, and they will bring us if we keep on doing the daily things, keep on doing consciously small things for our goals, then they will help us arrive where we wanted to. Sweet. Thank you. I'm so curious if there is any dream that you want to achieve in your lives, if it's any public, of course, then I'd love to hear about it. And also, what would you love to have in your life? Or maybe you already have everything and you're super grateful for everything, is just perfect as is. Of course, also a possibility. Why not? Gratitude is also something that is part of abundance, and that is where abundance starts. First, we have to notice all the things that we have around us, right? Because we have so many things, and it's just so natural that we don't even notice anymore. But lately, in the past years, I threw away bags of clothes, for example. Amazing amount of clothes, because I noticed I just don't need it, so I gave it away to charity, at least to have a purpose for it. It's great. That's a great starting point. And yeah, we need to have dreams, right? And the good place to start is to just be grateful what we have and to be happy in it. And I also noticed when I had to set a dream in front of myself, and that brought me out of the most difficult time of my life. It's such a great power to work for something. And of course, back then that dream didn't come true, but many others did. So at the end, I did travel, not where I originally planned, but it turned out it was also not my kind of place. So it also, I don't know if you know, guys, but this new moon is really helping. Like, we had new moon last Saturday, and this period is really helping us getting rid of delusions. And for me, so far, it always meant to confront myself and be clear of my qualities, which I didn't always have a clear picture of, and just to accept myself better. But it can also mean, and I didn't realize it till now, that the fears, this really deep and deep-rooted fears that I have are just not real. So I just have to keep doing things and trust that it will be okay. Of course, there are challenging days when I have to build trust. I have to reinforce myself and just make many decisions to trust the process, trust myself, trust my capabilities, for example. But having dreams, it certainly helps. And yeah, as this new moon taught me, we are reaching slowly the first quarter moon in a few days. It taught me that delusions or breaking up delusions can be a very beneficial things if we are afraid of things that are not really there. Many times we are just reasonless. They just are there, but we shouldn't listen to them really. This is what I also learned from art therapy, to get the connection with my core, with this core feeling that I have inside. And my mind is a great helper when I have to plan things, of course, when I have to structure things. We work together and I treat it like an inner child. But it can be really a pain. But it is sometimes. So then I just have to pay less attention to it, right? It can make my life really miserable sometimes, not letting me sleep and worrying a lot, and I don't want it in my life at all. Who wants that? No one. So yeah, mind is a tricky thing. In yoga, I learned a lot about the nature of the mind. There they say that our mind is called chitta, which has several layers, and the three most important layers are ahankara, which is the notion of the I, that I am doing things, and that is the things of, and if I achieve things, then I have achieved things. And of course, it's important to be proud of ourselves, always. That's part of self-love. But it's also somewhere important to know that we are always connected, that our ideas are also coming from a bigger structure, that they are actually gifts that we receive, and whatever idea we have, it's something to be grateful for. It's a gift. And that's why it's possible that the same idea is appearing at the same time on several places on the earth, because we have a certain collective subconscious. And if you meditate it, then you know that it's kind of we can connect to things also by meditating, but also just in a normal daily state, if you're sensitive, which are actually rooted in the collective subconscious. So when we have ideas, very often we also either take those ideas from, it's like I imagine it as a cloud, but it can be also very annoying, because when I'm like suffering from some childhood trauma or some big pain that I lived through, that I can connect to other people that feel the same pain, and then it makes it so much harder. Then I'm not only living through my own pain, but I'm living through the pain of all those others, so it makes it just unbearable. And of course, if I'm not aware of that, then it's very difficult to climb out that energy. Hankara? I don't know what you mean, Dora Noras. If you can explain a little bit what you mean. I only know Akasha, but Akasha is a sort of, they say, a chronicle, where indeed everything has a root. Maybe Hankara is something similar. Oh, I meant the collective subconscious. I'm now wondering if I said anything with Hankara. Okay, now you understand. Great. And the Akasha Chronicles are, of course, sources where we can see things that are hidden from most of us. Only very clear minds and pure minds can access that. Not everyone has a connection to it, but it's also not necessary, right? Because just live our lives and trust our intuition, and it will lead us the way it needs to. It's just working because there are things and energies, beings supporting us. I always feel their presence, and I'm thinking of the many adventures that I lived through. For example, in Mexico, people told me that I shouldn't go out the streets. I was a blonde girl alone. Back then, sunlight just made my hair a lot blonder, and there is something special. So it draws also, of course, danger and attention. And they made me promise that I wouldn't walk alone on the streets after 9 o'clock alone. We always had to have a male companion. But yeah, it happened once or twice when I just didn't have a companion, so I had to get home alone. And surprisingly, people are very sweet because they are supporting each other. Sometimes there were new acquaintances from places. Of course, I also didn't know them, but they kind of were acquaintances of acquaintances. So then you trust those people, or you just feel they have a good intention to you. And yeah, people are really supporting each other, so that's a great thing. And I always also felt these presences helping me, if I may say so, because nothing ever happened. So my guardian angel was right next to me all the time, I'm sure of that. And I'm so grateful for that we have this gift here, right? And another thing that I learned, that we can always ask. So when I'm really struggling with something, I very often forget to ask for help, to remember that we are not alone and there is always help arriving for us, no matter where we are, because there is this infinite love surrounding us, which was really difficult for me to imagine that thing like this exists, like the connection with the divine, or just light beings. Name it what you want. It doesn't matter what name we give it. But to imagine that a place of infinite love exists unconditionally, accepting me and supporting me as I am, is just unbelievable. So that's why I meditate, because that's my space, my safe space to connect to those energies and build up this connection again. And reinforce it when I had a bad dream, for example, or I just wake up with some strange mood. It can happen, of course, but then I go and meditate as much as I can, and I come out in a very different mood, mostly very grateful, smiley and happy out of it. So if we have a tool as powerful as this, and why not use it, right? And also yoga is the same thing. Yoga does also the same thing with me. I think with everyone, really. So when I am starting the day with yoga, then I so much more organized the whole day. I know what I want, I just go for it, and otherwise I tend to be utterly chaotic, like artists, right? Not all of them, but it's a tendency sometimes. Sometimes it's difficult to hold together the creative energies with the physical reality. Alright, so what do I need in this painting still? If you feel you're missing something in the painting, a color or a form, or you just have an idea that you would like to see in it, let me know, and I gladly go with it. It has slightly different colors on the video, a little bit faded, but not much, so it's quite accurate. I'm kind of missing some yellow-green in this area. And the purples tend to disappear. Lighter ones, okay. I go with it. Yeah, otherwise, it's a great idea, the lighter colors, because otherwise it tends to get too busy and it needs some space, some coolness. I go with a light lemon color then. I wash it out a bit. Just have a touch. Do you like this yellow, Doranoras? You think of another shade? I can add some also here. It needs kind of a little bit of brightening. Okay, great. Thanks for feedback. Maybe here a little bit more. And then I mix it up with the green a bit. Oh yeah, of course. I'll show you. I will change scenes. So this is the painting in the back. I was talking a little bit about it before. The title is thanks, sweet of you. The title is Birth of a Dream. It is the process how an idea, symbolized by the blue, yeah, it's a baby womb. Probably I have a child wish and that's why it became an embryo, but it's the intention was to just symbolize an idea, a birth of anything, a seed that can grow into anything you wish for, and it is also how an idea, an intention can be born into materia, into that red dense energy. So that the blue is some airy, it's just a wish, it's just an intention or an idea that we would like to bring to this world, and how it's evolving or just meeting up with the physical reality so that it can take form. it is, birth of a child. It can be also an unconscious creation. It can also, manifestation can always be unconscious. I tend to be very conscious of my intentions. So of course it brings up a lot of fear in me, or not really the fear, but everyone wants the best for their baby, for their child, and I just have to be sure of myself that I can just do it. So I think that's the key with all the manifestation. That's the red energy, be knowing ourselves and know our value exactly, and then we can go for it and make it happen. Of course, it's not only depending on us, it's a co-creation, and birth of a child is exact perfect example for that, because it has to be a blessing from above. That's why it's co-creation. So I can wish for something, then I have to let it go. I was really surprised that it's a baby, because I didn't intend to do that. It just became something out of my hand, and I was, oh yeah, probably I have a child wish. But yeah, that's great. Our creations can surprise us sometimes. And that's why I love art. It's a great connection to ourselves, and as I said, it's bringing some clear pictures, some clear vision about us. Also, always a feedback. I'll just switch back to this work. I think it's ready. If you had to give it a title, what title would you give it? Tree of Life. Oh, thanks. Beautiful. Yeah, that was also in my head. It just didn't want to say it. I was waiting for your idea, but it's great that we had the same thing. I'm surprised how fiery it is. It has all the colors in it. So the starting point was red, and to create this red energy, but I think it's very active. So all the vibration, an atom. Oh wow, that's a great idea. Wow, it's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, indeed, because atoms also have electrons, have this double nature, right? That's how they could follow them get them on an electron microscope. So they realize they have a wave nature, like the light, and they also have physical nature, a certain kind of weight. So due to this light nature, this wave nature of the electrons, they could use prisms, which they use for breaking up the light. I hope I say it right. So those, for example, the triangle phase lenses or just any sort of lens to locate the electron, and that's how they could first ever picture it. And I forget his name, but he even got a Nobel Prize for the electron microscope. So yeah, that's the mystery of life, right? The electron that is a wave, but it's also physical. Like everything, we are also waves, and color have also waves, frequencies. That's how they resonate with us. So thanks for this inspiration, Lorena. That's great inspiration, the atom. All right. How about? I still feel like pulling a card, like a color card for today, next to the red. Maybe we pull a tint of red. You never know. If you want one for yourself, any of you in the chat, then let me know. Then I can. Okay, I can pull them one for you to another sound. Okay. It will be a color, and it will have. I have a small book explaining all the tints. And then it just gives some guidance, intuition. All right. Ooh, look what I pulled. It is, oh my gosh, the rainbow color. It's not one color, but it's like the light itself split up in all the colors of the rainbow. It's magical energy. Great. I was actually thinking of it. I have a painting with a Buddha and all the colors around it, and it's the first card in a whole deck. Magical. So I have to translate it. Bear with me, please. So the rainbow ray is a combination of different colors, and it is very powerful and renewing energy to work with. The rainbow will take care of you so that you can relax and be happier and feel more alive. It also opens up the mystical spheres, and it can bring you in connection with the fairies. If you believe in fairies, I do. I love fairies. Angels and your own creativity. Guess what you are doing in an art therapy session? Great. I love when it all comes together. There is also a certain practice that you might do if you feel like. Take a connection up with nature. Go to the park, look around you, and look for a tree that you feel drawn to. Just stand still and concentrate on your inner core, on your inner feelings. Just feel within, look within, and feel how the tree attracts you, and if it calls you maybe to come closer, and if it does, then go to it, and you might just touch it. If you feel like, you might hug it. I often touch trees, they have a great energy. And feel its power, feel its liveliness, and its great connection with the earth, because they are so deeply rooted and they live so long, the trees, right? And its connection with other trees, because they are like a living entity together, they connect with each other. And let a little bit of the divine stream into you through the tree and stream through your body, and feel what it does to you, and what it does to your own connection with the divine. If you feel any change in feelings, any intuition, any physical sensations, then walk through the park further and just touch some flowers. If it's in the season now, you might not find too many. You never know. But just take a connection to the lower miniature part of nature too, and listen to the birds. Oh, I love them. When I wake up, I hear a bird song. Oh, it's the most magical sound ever. Then I immediately feel so happy. And while you all do this, remember to smile, because that's your connection with nature, with the divine, which is in my eyes the same thing. And just breathe in the beauty of it all, and the lights coming through the leaves. Oh, that's my favorite part, especially in autumn. We might still find a little bit from it around. Okay, you can also visualize a rainbow and a bath your body in it, in that light. And you can ask the rainbow rays to bring you in contact with nature and bring you in contact with this light energies that help us. It might be in your eyes, fairies, angels, whatever light beings you feel around you or you believe in. You can also talk to them. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, this description is an advice that I use myself daily almost, and I give as advice to other people too, because it is working for me so strongly. Whenever I'm in nature, I just fill up with this light, and I just notice I just get lost in those lights and colors, and then it might be my darkest day or moment or pain or whatever, and I just notice after a few minutes that I'm smiling. That's great. That's a great energy. So good. And you can ask for help for your life in areas where you just want to advance, or you need an advice or guidance, or just to fill you up with love energy. That's the best ever. Okay, so that was about it, and it reminded me of an experience that I wanted to tell you guys. When I was in Mexico, there is a tree which is 2,000 years old. It's amazing. So when I heard about it, I thought, wow, that has been there in the time when Jesus lived, for example. I know in history of humanity and the things we don't even remember anymore, those 10,000 or 100,000 years ago, it might be like nothing, but for me, as a pure little point in time of human being, it's an immensely huge amount of time. So this tree lived through it all. And I went there and I visited it, and of course it had a great fence around it, and people were taking selfies with the tree, and it was so huge you couldn't see anything from the tree, only a tree wall behind you, because it was like, I don't even know how many meters it is, but it's huge. It's an entity, and we were not allowed to touch it. So I felt like I felt so drawn to this tree, of course, so I wanted to feel it. And it was so gracious because it's so huge. It grew outside the fence, so no one could tell me anything about what I do outside the fence, right? Because it's free area. Of course, they are just want to protect it and make sure that people don't hurt it and don't steal away pieces of it and being too attached to its physical reality. But I didn't want to do any harm. I just wanted to feel it. So on one certain point it grew really low, where I could just reach it with my hands. So I reached up and I touched it with both hands, and guys, it felt like I was lifting up from the ground. I felt this tingling feeling in my arms, in my whole body. It was a beautiful sensation. So this tree has such a wisdom. Holy moly, it is really worth to feel such a thing once in a lifetime. I mean, it's something unique. But since then, I often touch trees just when I go to the park or whenever I walk in nature. And yeah, not always, but I'm not this typical tree hugger. Maybe some people say I am, but I don't do it intentionally. I just do it. I'm just following my feelings, right? And I usually just touch them, or I just sit down at their roots and I just lean onto them. They mostly fill me up with peace, and I can relax really well next to them, especially if there's some water next by. Great experience. So yeah, of course, that's why I suggest to everyone to do the same. And the rainbow color, it's yeah, it's magical. That's why, because it contains all the qualities of all colors. It is really a healing energy. I find all the colors healing, obviously, but they always bring a certain different meaning. So as the rainbow, it's fulfillment, it's abundance. It's something very mesmerizing. I read about monks who were on a very high consciousness level, who could turn their physical body with death. They just don't die and leave their physical body, but they turn their physical materia to a rainbow color. So rainbow, of course, it is not, I'm just a simple human. I never expect to be connected with that certain type of energy of consciousness. It's really out of my range, but it's just great to know that how those things work, right? And I'm also reading still the autobiography of Yogi from Paramhamsa Yogananda. He founded many kind of yoga, Kriya Yoga schools in the US earlier in this century, around the 1930s, 40s maybe. Thing is, it's about his life, and he met several of those masters or gurus, what they say. It's just very inspiring. I mean, it's never an aim in my life to reach such a state, because I don't expect at all to be even close to that, but it doesn't matter. It's just great that we head to a direction which is good for us, which brings us to harmony and happiness and joy, but deep joy that we feel when connected to ourselves, when creating, for example. But it can mean several things to you, how you express yourself. Alright guys, so I really enjoyed creating with you. I think I slowly close down the session if you don't have any other questions. See you next time maybe. Cheers guys. Bye bye.